and forth with the fire trucks. I swear that one said
moving so fast and in another direction, so they got to figure that out.
Okay. All right, Sarah, thank you very much for that. We have an updated map. I think we could show you. Which may have, yeah, there it is. So the perimeter has changed. As we expected it would. That area outlined in blue was more rectangularish, but now you can see there's
that several homes have been destroyed because there's Associated Press photographer who he personally saw 3 homes destroyed in the Jimtown area, and we're just efforting the photos of that. But we have seen entire structures go up in flames. Even though this is not the most populated area, adding Geyserville brings in a lot more homes and population. You can see this is earlier. Another photographer was on his way out of town and shot this, and you can see how the fire was burning on all sides of the ridges and both sides of Highway 128, and all of the response there. Those are the engines. So if there were 53 engines at last count, and we just saw what looked like a San Francisco engine, you know there's a lot more engines on their way to this fire, and then we're waiting for that air assault, which is really going to help because the terrain is so rugged that it's hard to get to. And then the backhoes and
the bulldozers,
that will be huge in cutting a path. They've got to get some space between the fire and all of the rest of the fuel that can burn this morning. Because what Sarah saw, she heard explosion sounds, and she thought that those were trees just erupting like torches.
Could have very well have been propane tanks too, now that we know that homes have been destroyed. And one of the things that CAL FIRE is trying to do, of course, is to try to predict where this fire is going next. Where do they put their resources to try and stop its forward advancement? And it's been interesting to see some of the people that are helping in that effort as we take a look at some of the latest pictures now of the structures and of the homes that have burned so far this morning.
Wow.
And what communities are next in the line of fire? I mean, that's going to be the big question that CAL FIRE is trying to answer. And joining us on the phone right now is somebody who's actually collecting data that may help in the future with fire prediction models and where the weather goes when fires like this erupt. We have Professor Craig Clements joining us, professor of meteorology at San Jose State University. And Professor Clements, last time we chatted with you, you were actually there in the fire area collecting fire weather data. Are you still there?
We had just left. We're just on our way out.
Oh, just on your way out. Okay, because the evacuation orders have been extended. So tell me, have you guys noticed anything different or unique with the weather and how it's what you're recording here in the last hour or so?
Yeah, so the winds died down where we were located in Alexander Valley, and so the smoke got a little bit more diffuse. The fire behavior dropped down because of the lower wind speeds, and so it became really benign in this location. But that doesn't mean it's like that elsewhere, so just we're in our location.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were explaining how at its peak, we could see gusts of 70 or 75 miles per hour. But this was so difficult because the fire started kind of making a pattern of its own and the winds were going in various directions. Explain how that happens with a fire.
Yeah, so the winds are very erratic around wildfires because the fire itself creates a lot of heat, and that induces what we call indrafts and fire-induced circulation. And so what happens is the fire can actually modify the wind field just by its own heat. And when that happens, then you can't really predict what direction the winds are coming from and when they shift and such. It becomes very erratic.
And that, of course, complicates the situation for firefighters in trying to predict, let's say, where the embers are going to drop next, because, I mean, there's a lot of confusion when the winds are that scattered.
Yeah, and we noticed that when we were scanning the plume, the winds were going from different directions. We saw the fire behavior.
Given the conditions that are present at the time?
Well, yeah. as I state, we're developing a new modeling system, and we're going to be using this data, or these types of data, in our model in real time. So we can go to a fire, collect observation, and so, you know, the prediction of when in this area is complicated because of all the steep terrain, and so we need higher resolution models, and we need more observations on wildfires. It's one of the least observed phenomena. Not like tornadoes and hurricanes, where we...
Your data and better prediction models will be something we get greatly used in the future. So we appreciate your work, and thank you for joining us this morning to explain to everybody kind of what you're doing.
Great, thanks for having me.
All right, and because of this, of the situation, how many people would you say are there so far?
I would say so far we've got a few dozen, 2 to 3 dozen people. You know, there was a big
News app is something that's going to be critical for you in following the very latest. And what we've done is we've removed the paywall. We don't want any obstacle in your way in terms of getting the information you need during this crisis. So you can go to the app store of your choice, download the Chronon app, and you'll see not
but yeah, we've seen several go up in flames.
And I was just looking over the latest notes. In fact, we should probably get the latest from CAL FIRE. Okay.
And of course, we got...
We were just wondering, is that because you don't have any eyes in the sky yet? Do you not have a chopper or airplane or anything up there yet?
Yeah, so the aircraft just lifted off not too long ago.
Okay, so do you have the number you need, or are you calling out more right now?
I believe, of course, minute by minute, second by second, it's being reevaluated as the fire progresses and how much progress is being made on the fire. But as of right now, we have over 400 firefighters currently engaged in fire operations on the fire right now.
And we were looking at the Sonoma County incident map, and we noticed that the evacuation area, of course, has grown since the overnight hours. Do you have any sense, even though you don't have planes yet in the sky, do you have any sense on like what flank or what?
Low relative humidities with a lot of dry fuel.
So
the particular concern would be if it continues to grow to the south, because the next big town down would be Healdsburg. And there haven't been any evacuation orders or even like a standby yet. They've already closed schools, though, in Healdsburg and Cloverdale. When might they be?
He's along 101 north and south of Geyserville for about 5 miles then, or just in that standby area, not quite down south to Healdsburg just yet. You mentioned you didn't have any aircraft in the air just yet. Do you have a sense of when you might start getting some information from your eyes in the sky?
Well, those aircraft have some of them have already lifted off and are currently over the fire, but we haven't got that update in on that new acreage yet.
Okay, well, hopefully we can check back with you. We also want to know how many homes have caught fire, because we can already see pictures of at least 3 or 4 structures that have been lost.
Have you heard from crews on the line, confirmation of any sort of number of homes they've seen so far that have been burned?
I have not. I'm seeing the same stuff as you guys, of your cameramen out there. Of course, we see some structures that have possibly been destroyed or damaged. I don't have any counts on those at this time. None of that stuff is coming to our shop yet.
Okay. All right. Will, thank you so much for giving us the update, what you know so far. When do you suppose you'll know more in terms of acreage and containment numbers? When should we reach out to you again?
Hopefully by the top of the hour, we should have some new numbers.
9 o'clock. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Powers, and we'll chat with you then. Thank you.
All right, and Sarah Stinson has been on the ground since it started this morning, and she was right up in the area that was evacuated in Geyserville. They pushed her back, but it's still, you're by a winery. Are you still there where it's smoldering and you can even see embers?
We moved from the winery because we wanted to see with our own eyes homes that have been burned, and this is one of them right here on Geysers Road and Red Winery Road. You can see it's just a devastating scene. I'm seeing at least 3 homes that have been burned and completely destroyed here. You can see a bed frame, just complete rubble, and there's still very actively on fire, just burning to the ground. There's a car that's smoldering in the back. At one time I heard a car alarm just going off in the distance. It's just complete rubble and destruction out here. This fire just ripped through Geyserville, and firefighters were just trying to keep up with it because it was changing in every direction. Very scary for firefighters as well, because at one point it was going north and then it was going south and then it switched, and that's when we ourselves had to get in the car and book it because it was getting to be very scary. Now we're out here finally back in the evacuated area. We are safe. It is smoldering. There are hot spots, but we are feeling a bit safe out here. you can see just how smoky it is.
Yeah.
They're still saying 10,000 acres, but just driving around, I would say it's probably double that. I mean, if you look up on the ridge, you look all the way around the vineyards, and it's still burning, you guys.
Well, was this the area that you were in this morning when they pushed you back, or was this the area that was first to evacuate? Remember, the call went out to just 300 people at first this morning. Is that where this was?
Look at this mailbox.
I know.
We're on the other side of Geysers Road, so not exactly where we were,
okay,
but on the other side of it. So I wasn't exactly where I'm standing now. I really want to check in on that home that we were first nearby. Do you remember that big, nice white house that was right in front of the flames? And it was right when we thought that that house was going to be fine. We were going to be fine because it was all black. It seemed like they got it under control. And that's when the wind switched and it became a very scary situation. That's when we had to leave. And that's when they finally decided, you know what, the community of Geyserville needs to evacuate the entire community. And that's why they've even pushed it to 5 miles in each direction of Geyserville, because it is spreading, and you guys just heard it's moving south. We heard it was moving towards Canyon Road. That's where they're sending a lot of their resources. Obviously here, this is a lost cause because this home has been completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, that might be a gas line because,
tank too,
well, I noticed, right to the right side of that flame was a propane tank, and we heard you describing the sounds of explosions earlier this morning, and you know, you have to speculate that some may be trees exploding, others may be propane tanks exploding, because a lot of folks who live in these parts of rural Sonoma County will often have gas service like that.
And look at that. Those are like outbuildings. That could have been right there.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah, you can see just skeletons of buildings.
Do me a favor. I don't know if you're anywhere near that mailbox,
And
but
it's sad because...
do you have any, like, a sense of a house number where on Red Winery Road you are?
We were just near that mailbox down there, but I kind of want to stay away from that area.
Oh, do you?
Because it is actually pretty on fire.
Yeah, I know,
okay.
and we also saw a tank
this
there.
is if you look at a map, it's literally the intersection of Geysers Road and Red Winery Road.
Oh, right there.
The exact intersection.
The exact intersection, okay, because we want people to know a lot of times, you know, Sarah, you can get in there and you're where nobody else is allowed, so a lot of people who have friends or relatives or live in this area would like to know whose home was lost, and a lot of times, sadly, they find out first from our live coverage, and 3 people who live at that intersection, at least it looks like 3 homes or maybe 4 are gone.
Yeah, that's the sad part. I have a lot of friends who work up here at wineries and different companies, and they have all been texting me like, can you see if the winery's still standing? And you know, it's hard to tell because it is so smoky and stuff. But as I said earlier, from what we could tell, Robert Young Winery is doing okay. It looks like that has been defended well by firefighters. You can still see the firefighters here. They are on scene. They're not just leaving these homes in like the hot spots. They're keeping an eye on it all. And they're still on Robert Young's winery putting out hot spots. This is far from done, you guys. It's gonna be a long day for these firefighters. Over 400 firefighters from all over. I've seen Santa Rosa out here for sure. And ones from different cities as well. So it's a lot of work that they have to get through.
Look at all of the spots of flames, and then like you said, James, we saw what looked like a propane tank. That's further down, Sarah, where you just left from, just directly to the north of where we're looking in the video.
That's got to worry you, yeah.
Yeah, and then also we saw a few regular cars, but they were kind of turned around. Or those aren't residents or anything, are they? We saw a white car there, another silver car that was parked. Is anybody allowed near there?
Those are mostly media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that whole area is shut off. And I guess just by looking at the map, if you go further down Red Winery Road, I suppose you'll be able to better see some of the vineyards. I wonder how they're faring. I know the property of Robert Young Vineyard is as you said, being...
Yeah, they all got out. The firefighters went door to door.
Tank right here. It's
yeah,
like barely fully standing.
Wait, you see it? What is that tank right there?
It's just completely
yeah.
destroyed.
Oh,
Like
look at that.
it's almost completely burned.
You could tell
You
that
can
it
see right through it.
it ruptured, yeah, with the heat. Wow. Pretty incredible to get our first live views here, Sarah, of some of the homes that have been decimated by the
Generator.
Right. So they cut the power yesterday. That was the first thing to happen. You know, PG&E cut power just as a precaution.
Right.
And then, sure enough, it was around 9:30. The fire first started, and then it was whipped so fast by the flames. And you can see all of these people had to get out. And now it's Geyserville
Right.
that has evacuated because the fire hasn't reached Geyserville yet. But that's their next concern. And it still looks pretty windy. And now you know, Sarah, why you were hearing those explosions. Remember, you thought maybe that was a tree going up, and it looked like just a torch. It could have been actually structures or propane tanks.
Yeah.
It was probably a bit of both, honestly, because I definitely had that cell phone video of that tree, that like 100-foot tree that was exploding and causing a huge fire.
Wow.
But this is just devastating. I feel for all the people who live in this area, a community that thrives on their vineyards. And as you said, the vineyards, I've seen some damage to them, seen some flames in the middle of them, just kind of hot spots all over the place.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Sarah. We're going to continue to check in with you, okay? Just be safe. We will, I mean, she's got fire crews there keeping an eye on it, and we'll keep an eye on the area that is burned out, but also, really importantly, as well as the air. Area that is under threat right now, which is Geyserville, because that's another 2,000 people that have evacuated. We see what it did to that neighborhood, and that's what they're hoping doesn't happen in Geyserville.
Absolutely. Stay updated throughout the day. We're going to be offering you 24/7 news. And then we're also going to be looking at other sections of the area, too, as we get more addresses from Sarah. She's roaming about, but we have at least several photographed by the Associated Press photographer who was out in the area earlier. But then Sarah, as we've just learned in the last 5 minutes, has visually counted at her location about 6 or 7 homes that have burned.
And that's why we zoomed in on Google Maps to the area, because you can't get into this area, and this is what it used to look like. So now, that's what it looks like now.
Yeah.
These are the homes that were flattened. We were just showing you what they were, and now this car, the tanks, there's some generators because they cut power to this area yesterday, and the firefighters out there also chronicling the destruction in this fire so far that has burned more than 10,000 acres.
Right.
The planes are up right now with CAL FIRE to get a better count, but by all accounts, this is going to grow by several thousand acres once they get the tally.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you mentioned CAL FIRE with their planes up in the air. We talked with CAL FIRE maybe about 20 minutes ago, and he estimated that perhaps 10 minutes from now, at 9 o'clock, they'll have updated acreage and containment numbers for us, and perhaps maybe even some more visual inspections of properties that were damaged or destroyed. So stay tuned. We're following the very latest, and we'll have more updates for you coming up in just a moment.
visit. So not only are they beautiful and give us wonderful grapes, but they also serve as a tool, as a helper in this firefight. Again, they say they've kept it to the outskirts of Geyserville. If you're on the outside wondering how it's going, they fought it off. They've got ground crews there. They evacuated that town because, as a precaution, they said the winds were so erratic, they were so strong, they didn't know how long they were going to last. They were seeing spot fires. That's why they made the call. And about that same time, we were making our own call to move away, further away, because it was just so unpredictable. It was a crazy night. Hopefully they start getting the upper hand on this soon. Reporting live from Healdsburg, Amy Holyfield, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Amy. It is so scary at night, especially when people are being told to evacuate in the middle of the night, and they are already in the dark because of the power shutoff. So a scary situation for many people overnight, and we have been with you on the air since 4 a.m. watching this fire spread. And the best news that we have is that now they have some air support out there, and they have some light so they can see what they're doing and where the fire is spreading, and it's a little less dangerous for firefighters on the ground because of that. But as far as the winds, and you heard Amy say that the wind has died down where she is, but that definitely comes and goes. Yeah. And that's been the case all morning.
Yeah, and Lisa's been tracking that for us. So, Lisa, what are we seeing right now when it comes to the winds?
Well, the winds at the surface are not that strong. You heard Amy talk about the heat. Look at that 59 in San Jose. I just want to give you a sense of how warm the day is going to be. We're in the 60s to upper 70s Half Moon Bay with wind gusts to 40 miles an hour. Camera shaking from Sutro, where we have areas with no wind. We're in the upper 50s, Petaluma, 70s, Concord, Livermore. You're cool. Here are the surface wind gusts to 26 miles an hour. The Delta, 38 Half Moon Bay, but we go up in height, and this is where we're looking at the winds in the next hour from 20 to 30 miles an hour. That's significantly less than 60 to 70 miles an hour we had at midnight, and we're going to go in the right direction. The winds are going to continue to lighten up. Here's 11 o'clock. The shade gets a little bit lighter. Still breezy, though, and then by noontime, a sharp drop-off in the winds. You can see the East Bay and the South Bay. Very calm. It's very warm. We could see a heat advisory throughout the day today with all three metropolitan areas hitting 90. Even the beaches close to 90 degrees today. Current check of our relative humidity is at 14% in Napa. And then you build with the heat today, a little wind, and we will be in that critical fire weather all throughout the day, even though our red flag warning will expire by 4 o'clock.
Papers, and I thought, nah, at the last minute, they will let us know that we don't have to evacuate like 2 years ago. But it finally came by, and then we heard the police signal, and we got in the cars. My son packed everything in the cars, and we came in 3 cars, and so here we are.
Your bird
and
here?
I brought my bird, my 22-year-old bird, who is old and can't walk, can't fly, and then my little Yorkie.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
All right.
I had to leave my fish behind.
Yeah. So you plan on staying here?
I don't know. I don't know. They're talking about going to a hotel.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you. Thank you. No, it's okay. It is smoky out here. So, yeah, a lot of evacuees here are wearing masks because it is extremely smoky and you can see ash falling down. Live in Healdsburg, I'm Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Lauren. I can bet it's just really a lot for people to deal with.
We have David Rabbit on the phone from the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors. And David, boy, Sonoma County has been through a lot already this fall. What is on your mind right now?
Well, yeah, it's, kind of here we go again with feeling, and obviously are really thinking about our friends in the Geyserville area. We have, the good thing is that we were prepared as much as we can be. We declared a local emergency on Tuesday. We opened our emergency operations center. We upstaffed now for all red flag warning events with 2 strike teams throughout the county. That's 10 engines that we wouldn't have staffed otherwise. So we had resources available, but of course on these days with these winds whipping down from the top of the ridges in areas like above the geysers there, until the morning comes, until the wind subsides, the firefighters certainly have their hands full.
David, we're, of course, looking at what's happening now on our screen of fire destroying a part of the county, but then we're also looking forward to this weekend when we could see these winds pick up again and have another major wind event and possibly more power outages.
Exactly. And this weekend's winds are supposed to be even stronger than they were last night, and obviously we saw what happened last night. We, unfortunately, the new normal is this PSPS, as they call it, the Public Safety Power Shutoff. We've experienced now 3 events, one large one, this one a little less than the last, but we had 100,000 people with their power cut off prior to the fire starting. Now we have undoubtedly some more. We're going to restore some power starting perhaps today in the afternoon. That won't obviously be much different in the fire areas. And then, of course, it'll go off again undoubtedly if the weather...
David, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. I'm sorry. It looks like we're facing a hard out here, but we wish all of you and the people of Sonoma County good luck.